with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Kind of prince.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie.
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
There's going to be so many stories that come from the set about how difficult I am to work with simply because I don't want Apple. In a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour.
So that is Rachel Zegler. She is casted as Snow White in the upcoming new movie. And ever since she has been casted, she has been problematic from the start. Every single interview that she does, her tone of voice is very rude and she comes off very rude. The movie right now has such bad publicity because of her.
So we didn't do that this time.
What happens when the stars of a fairy tale help destroy it from the inside out? Let's find out. It started as Disney's next crown jewel, a live-action remake of Snow White, armed with a $350 million budget and two major stars, Rachel Zegler, the Gen Z breakout from West Side Story, and Gal Gadot, everyone's favorite Wonder Woman. On paper, this was the dream team, a bold reimagining of Disney's first-ever princess, tailored for a new generation. But what Disney ended up with was less happily ever after and more PR disaster. From the moment this project was announced, the pressure was on. Executives envisioned a modern fairy tale with fresh faces, progressive themes, and updated storytelling. Snow White would no longer be the soft-spoken princess waiting for true love's kiss. She'd be bold, independent, and fully redefined. And to carry that message, Rachel Zegler. At just 20 years old, she was charismatic, outspoken, and unapologetically Gen Z. But that outspokenness became the movie's first red flag.
President Rachel Zegler also posted, F Trump kinds of posts, social media. She also said that she hoped that Trump supporters, quote, never know peace.
You are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, you are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. Like, this is America right now. I will love you through these 4 years as best I can. F Donald Trump. Yeah, totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace.
And they postponed the release of this thing then for a year because no one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantata is the only global solution.
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive.
From day one, Rachel Zegler became the film's primary face and voice. She stepped into the spotlight with confidence, but instead of promoting the project, she repeatedly criticized the 1937 classic that inspired it. She called the prince a stalker, rolled her eyes at romantic subplots, and dismissed the original's values as weird and dated. What she thought was honesty came across, especially to Disney's core fan base, as arrogance. Comments flooded social media, not just disagreeing, but outright mocking her tone. People didn't just feel alienated, they felt insulted by someone who, in their view, didn't seem to even like the movie she was paid to lead. Even casual fans were taken aback. How do you sell a nostalgic reimagining when the lead actor openly trashes the original? Disney's silence made it worse. Instead of clarifying or redirecting the narrative, the studio let Rachel continue unchecked. By the time executives realized they had a PR crisis on their hands, the damage was already viral. The chaos wasn't limited to press tours. It ran deep into the production itself. Insiders reported constant friction between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, two women with vastly different working styles. Rachel, young and eager to modernize the story, often pushed for script rewrites, even mid-shoot. Gal, seasoned and disciplined, insisted on sticking to the schedule. Their clashing visions led to mounting tension, which trickled down to the crew. Lighting setups were redone. Blocking was stalled. Agents were called in to mediate. Some days, filming stopped altogether. And then there was the atmosphere on set, described by multiple crew members as cold and hostile. The two stars allegedly avoided speaking off-camera. Small disagreements about makeup, lighting, or camera angles spiraled into full-blown disputes. A source even claimed a key scene had to be completely reworked because the two leads couldn't stand to make eye contact. Behind the fairytale visuals was a cast and crew walking on eggshells. Disney kept doubling down, convinced they could fix it. More money, more reshoots, more consultants. The budget, which began at a hefty $150 million, ballooned past $350 million. This wasn't just a film anymore. It was a financial gamble Disney had to win. And still, test audiences walked out underwhelmed. Their reviews were damning, emotionally flat, visually impressive but soulless, and no chemistry between leads. Many viewers couldn't even tell what the film was trying to say. Was it a feminist fable? A nostalgic remake? A Gen Z reboot? Even casual viewers noticed something was off. Trailer after trailer on YouTube got downvoted en masse. Comments weren't just negative, they were angry. Fans accused Disney of abandoning its roots for corporate virtue signaling. Others said the film looked cheap, despite the blockbuster budget, and the ripple effects were brutal. Tie-in merch barely moved off shelves. Retailers slashed prices within weeks. Park plans were shelved. Internally, some Disney execs labeled the project a total loss. Just when things couldn't get worse, the final promotional shoot broke everything. It was supposed to be the last-ditch save, the press junket that would reset the narrative. But instead, it confirmed every rumor. Sources on set said Rachel demanded numerous retakes, sometimes for minor issues. Gal, who had a limited window between other projects, reportedly became agitated by the delays. The tension reached a boiling point. At one point, both stars reportedly refused to speak to each other unless filtered through assistants. A makeup artist claimed she had to redo Rachel's look 3 times due to lighting issues sparked by an on-set argument. Others reported shouting matches, long silences, and one instance where the entire set paused for nearly 2 hours while tempers cooled. Photographers later noted that between takes, Rachel and Gal didn't exchange a single word, or even glance. What was meant to be a glossy rescue mission turned into a tabloid feeding frenzy? The rumors hit fast. Disney might be seeking financial restitution from its 2 stars. No lawsuits were filed, but insiders whispered that the studio had explored its options. Some executives reportedly believed Rachel and Gal had contributed directly to the film's failure. Rachel by alienating the public, and Gal by disengaging during promo and refusing to support script changes. Leaks suggested Disney felt their off-screen behavior may have breached morality clauses in their contracts, though others in the industry warned this could backfire badly. Suing stars over bad press? That's unprecedented and potentially career-killing for everyone involved. Still, insiders say the threat wasn't idle. May have been less about money and more about damage control, signaling to talent that public accountability matters. But whether it was a warning shot or a real legal strategy, the effect was the same. Panic spread through the industry. Disney, once the gold standard of brand safety, suddenly felt radioactive. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be the future. After Spielberg handpicked her for a West Side Story, she was seen as a generational talent. Bright, outspoken, socially conscious. The perfect fit for a modern Disney. But those same qualities quickly became liabilities. Her tweets were dissected. Her sound bites were memed. And her attitude was seen by many as dismissive, even combative. When she began going silent, fans took notice. PR insiders say her team is working to repackage her image, possibly even shifting her away from Disney-level mainstream work and toward indie projects with tighter creative control. But that rebrand? It'll take time and trust. Rachel's supporters say she's being punished for not playing the game. Critics argue she never respected the assignment in the first place. No matter the side, the reality is clear. The film flopped, and Rachel's star power took a hit with it. Gal was always seen as a safe bet, graceful, charming, well-liked by fans. But Snow White challenged that perception. Unlike Rachel, Gal didn't speak much. She avoided controversy, but in doing so, came across as aloof, especially during promotion. She rarely posted about the film. Her interviews were short, vague, and clearly distanced from the drama. To many, she seemed to be watching the ship sink from the lifeboat, but her silence didn't shield her. Old political tweets resurfaced. Journalists started asking whether Gal, too, was part of the problem. And though her fans defended her professionalism, others felt she could have done more to steer the project, or at least shield it from total collapse. For the first time in years, her unshakable brand showed cracks. Now Disney is in deep crisis mode. The studio has already pulled back marketing. There's talk of quietly dumping the movie onto Disney Plus with minimal fanfare, just to cut losses. Internally, things are changing fast. Executives are rethinking how they handle reboots, cast younger talent, and approach social messaging in family films. More than that, they're wondering how to avoid hiring stars who might go rogue or burn a $350 million legacy in real time. The once unshakable Disney brand now finds itself in unfamiliar territory. Public mistrust, fan alienation, and a film so controversial it's become meme material before release. And as for Snow White, it was supposed to usher in a new era. Instead, it might have ended one. Was Rachel Zegler unfairly dragged through the mud? Or did her outspoken attitude help kill the very magic she was hired to protect? Was Gal Gadot too passive, or just trying to steer clear of a sinking ship? And did Disney lose the plot entirely by trying so hard to modernize a classic that it forgot why people loved it in the first place? Some argue this was the inevitable clash between tradition and progress. Others say it's what happens when billion-dollar brands try to sell nostalgia while dismantling its foundations. But maybe the deeper question is this: can a fairy tale survive if its own storytellers don't believe in it? Disney wanted a new beginning. Instead, they got a cautionary tale, a story of good intentions, clashing egos, and the brutal cost of getting it wrong in front of the entire world. Because if even Snow White can't guarantee happily ever after, what can?